Star Wars. I don't think I've ever talked about Star Wars at all, not one time on this channel. What's not to love really realistically about Star Wars? We got the good and the bad, the family drama, the idealism of the Force itself, even the hit or miss that we do have in the series that we do see, or even the games that we have, and some of the comics. I haven't really read a lot of them, I just seen them here and there, and honestly I'm not going to probably read a Star Wars novel. Everyone just probably got to explain that part to me. But fast forward to Visions, when we actually first saw all these animation studios get picked up just to do one singular episode or a 17-minute pilot for season 1, having everyone and their great grandfather gush over it and praise how good season 1 is, but no one ever talks about season 2. Season 2 is pretty good though.
Take it. Don't look back. Everyone has an inner light.
I found my own path.
Oh yeah, like, comment, subscribe, it helps. Something I've said multiple times, Star Wars Visions was on my list for a while. It was one of those shows where I was planning on watching it, I just did not get around to specifically watching it. Just like most people where they loved season 1 and how good season 1 is, I just didn't get around to watching season 2 and making a video out of it. Also, side note, I will make a video on season 1, especially if you guys like this video, comment, subscribe, you know, the regular stuff. But I just want to get straight into what I thought, as well as some of the meanings behind some of these episodes that we did see in season 2. With me also saying that, I believe that's a complete overarching theme throughout every single episode, and that thing is hope. The hope of you finding balance, the hope in the Sith, the hope of changing the present, the hope that you obtain from the place that you came from, the hope that you have for the future, the hope that you have for your family, the hope that you have in the Jedi, the hope that you have from the people that came from before you, and the hope that you know what you're doing. I feel like they all have that running theme, but some definitely have a lot more to say than others, and that's nothing wrong with that. Just sometimes, you know, you just have a lot more to say. But without further ado, I want to start with the first one. The first one is the Sith. The Sith I really did like. It's definitely my top 3 favorite from the season, hands down. But the story first started out with Lola and her droid, where she's seemingly trying to mess with the Force and trying to mess with these pains in a certain specific way, and she's being frustrated at that. But she then gets a notification that one of the generators that she has outside is broken and messed up. She goes to check on it and finds that a Sith is actually waiting there for her. But talk about why I really like this one is, like, not only is the animation look fucking gorgeous and the action scenes in this is actually amazing, but what I like the most is the paintings of her trying to figure herself out, trying to figure out why she has all this blackness and why she can't necessarily continue on with this color. She's trying to get rid of the Sith side of herself and try to be more akin to like a Jedi. But when she's fighting her Sith master, she has the understanding and realization that she's both. She's the balance, she's the darkness and the light. She has to be one with both of these things, and if she neglects one or the other, all it is going to do is cause imbalance and honestly make her weaker than what she already is, and really just lead her down a road of suffering, just like we saw in the beginning, where she seems to honestly be like almost like a drug addict coming off of like a high or something like that, or trying to dry up and try to be a regular person again. What it seems to be is her struggle of imbalance is actually eating away at her mind mentally, but it's going to affect her physically soon, or actually is already affecting her physically in the sense of her being able to even fight her own master in this episode. But it's nice seeing her obtain that fulfillment, know oneself, and enter a euphoric state. The next one, which I found a lot of enjoyment in, is Screecher's Reach, that stars Dal, Baton, Quinn, and Kina. The story basically stars Dal, and Dal basically wants to leave this factory and she doesn't want to stay here anymore. She wants to go to Screecher's Reach for some reason, and her friends basically accompany her to this location. For this story, I really do love the twist ending. The twist ending is phenomenal, where you find out is actually a Sith the whole time that necessarily wants her to join her and be her apprentice, with the added bonus of another Sith that she basically had to kill in Screecher's Reach that was hiding out there the whole time. But I think the best thing is just the answer that Dal basically gives Biden, calling back to earlier in the episode where literally Biden says, if you have a better option or better chance of doing anything, go ahead and take it, sort of signifying that they'll still support her even if her decision is completely different from theirs. Sort of bites them back in the ass a little bit, because Dal makes the decision to become an apprentice. Now she doesn't necessarily know, oh my goodness gracious, this is gonna make me cause a whole bunch of hatred and make me a mass murderer working under something that's completely evil. But just like the Sith Lady says herself, make a choice, and the choice is inherently made. And I feel like this story also asks a question to the viewer itself. Would you rather just live in this normal life for the rest of your life, where you can be stuck here forever in a place that you necessarily don't want to be, or do you want to go ahead and take a chance and become a Sith? I know a lot of you evil fuckers out there are definitely picking the Sith side, but don't do it. It's not good. It's not good. I feel like it's actually a very simple question. Would you like to inflict suffering onto others, or would you rather have suffering onto yourself? Do you take opportunity, or do you let it stay stagnant? Great advice, bad timing. And lastly, the witch's design inside Screecher's Reach was phenomenal. She looked amazing with all the blackness and the redness that sort of radiates out her, just notifying you this is a fucking angry ass Sith. Lady Luck smiles upon those who take initiative. Now for the next one in the stars, I believe it's stop motion. I'm not 100% sure, but it does look pretty good nonetheless. And also for the hopefulness it has in this show. But before that, first the story starts out with Koten and Tachina, and they're both basically sisters on this planet that has already got terraformed by the Empire. And so basically one of the sisters is telling the story of how their mother actually went to go fight the Empire, but seemingly died with her army. And as the Empire basically took over this planet, they basically made all the pollution go inside of the planet, and it made it a complete cesspool of a planet, where the only place where you can get water is if you sneak into the Empire base and steal the water. And that's basically what they're going to do. If I had to describe this specific episode, I would describe it as the beautiful ignorance of youth, because the story clearly states that Koten, who is the older sister of the two, she literally doesn't have any single ounce of hope. She believes that the Empire won by all standards or means. They already terraformed the planet, they already destroyed the planet and every single person that was on the planet itself before the Empire came, and shows a complete lack of faith of even her own mother looking down, protecting over and watching over. She only believes it's them two left, having a completely negative outlook on life, and she's been beaten so many times out of the hope that she has no hope. She's hopelessness. Then you have the younger sister of the two, Tachina, who seems to be the most hopeful out of both of them. She always brings up the story. She always thinks that we can actually win against the Empire, and she even attempts to try when you get to the end of the story. Seeing that Tachina has so much hope because she's so young, she actually has the ability to think of other routes or other pathways or other things to be more creative in what she's doing, and she hasn't lived that long to the point where she has the understanding of her situation, letting her be a shining hope, and not only that hope be shining for herself but also for her sister. The next one being I Am Your Mother. Now this one's just a heartfelt story. It doesn't have any high stakes or any high rewards. It's just a simple nice story, with the story basically starring Annie and her mom. Now Annie's in flight school, and on this specific day that this flight school has a student parent race where they race together, and Annie basically doesn't tell her mom because she's completely embarrassed. She's completely embarrassed that she rides in a bucket of bolts. She's completely embarrassed about how specifically her mom still lives and what she does for work, and she doesn't want anyone to know. But what I felt like the story really shines is like, not only does a mother, even when she hears all this, she still wants to continue the race, as well as still want to help her daughter out. But the story really basically shows you that you shouldn't be embarrassed from where you came from. It shouldn't be embarrassment of where you started and where you're at now, or where you're trying to achieve in your life. Don't let things or people hold you back from what your potential really necessarily could be. And I'm guessing and assuming that from that snobby girl that we do see that's in the race, she's the one that's been making fun of her for how she lives and how she is, for her comments at the beginning of the episode, sort of burrowing her way inside of her head to be like, you're not the best, you're not the greatest, you're not anything, and she shouldn't even believe that. But she has the greatest thing in the world, which is her mom, that actually sits in a blister no matter what. The way you start is never the way you finish. The next one is called Journey to the Dark Head. Now I really do like this one, but I feel like if it was just a bit longer, oh my goodness, I would really love it. I do like it though. With this story basically starring Aura and Toll. So Aura basically used to be somewhat of a Force bookkeeper when it came to the events of the Sith as well as the Jedi, where she would seemingly get glimpses of what's going to happen specifically, but it's only in these rocks. At a young age, she gets extremely frustrated and doesn't want to do this anymore. She wants to help out the Jedi. She wants the good to win instead of the evil, which is the Sith. So many years later, she leaves and she goes to the Jedi Council saying that maybe if we take care of these dark heads that are above me when it comes to these visions, maybe it'll actually have positive effects when it comes to the Jedi. The Jedi basically greenlight this mission, but they say that you have to go with Ta'ul, and you basically both have to go ahead and blow up this dark head. Well, Ta'ul also seemed like he's free falling into this dark side of things, where he's negatively speaking about the Jedi, he's negatively speaking about the Force itself, or how the Sith is gonna come for us. And this is all because rage, doubt, fear was all put into his mind when a Jedi turned into a Sith and he killed his master right in front of his eyes. Now I really like this one because not only is the animation great again, not only is the fighting amazing again, but also just the fact of like them understanding the balance of things, how things have to be put into a balance. One thing cannot be above the other. One thing will always be balancing out the other. What it really feels like is just like the universe is always in a constant state of conflict and you can never stop it either way. And realistically, just saying roll with the punches. The hope is always going to come and the darkness is always going to come right behind it. And when the darkness comes behind it, the hope is always going to come behind. No, but seriously, what is really necessarily saying that the big ass writing that's on the specific wall is literally telling you that just because things are bad right now in a specific moment doesn't mean it's not going to get better or it's going to be good again. And what it feels like for every Jedi and Sith, it feels like there's an end goal specifically, like they're always trying to uphold the other or be the main dominant one, but it always feels like it's never ending, like it's specifically going to flip back to the other side of things. You gain clarity for a small amount of time, but it's going to be lost eventually, almost like the flow of time in a way. realistically feeling like an endless cycle. But there was one small detail that I did really like. It's just a small detail of his eyes glowing red for like a split of a second. You just see like the rage sort of coming out of him and sort of snapping back to normal. With light there will always be darkness, with darkness there will always be light. Next up we have is the spy dancer. Now the spy dancer, all it is, it starts off with 2 stormtroopers going inside of a specific bar or a location that feels like also like an opera house at the same time, and this dancer always dances in a specific location. I really like the spy dancer for a few reasons. One, it shows just how evil and disgusting the Empire really is. They literally will terraform your whole planet and claim it as their own, but also at the same time they'll take whoever they want to take. They'll take babies and sort of indict them into the Empire, or maybe even make them family members and just do whatever they want. And realistically that's disgusting and almost feels like almost a little too like real life at times, but I won't even touch that. But I also feel like in the spy dancer they capture emotions really well and how they depict certain people in situations, like how dark maybe someone is when they're sitting down, or just a look of despair in their face when they have realization. But all this together, it really does feel like a fun space opera that I'm seeing that's getting personified with great action that's surprisingly all done in one specific location. Have faith in your family, they'll do what's best. Next is the Bandits of Gullu, which stars Charuk and Rennie, and honestly this one really gives me a lot of Clone War vibes when it came to the animation. I really did like the way how it specifically looked, but I also did like the 2 main characters. I just wish we had a lot more time with them to really be more invested and like them a lot more. I feel like if they did have a lot more time, we can get into that. I feel like this episode also really spotlights just how messed up, technically speaking, it is to just give away your child or give away your sister, brother, daughter, son to the Jedi, and you can never see them ever again because they have to train and they can't necessarily see you, because if you lose them then you potentially can become a Sith. You succumb to hatred itself. But it's still short and sweet though. I don't know if that's necessarily also the point of it, because like, you know what, when you're a kid as a Jedi, they sort of take you when you're young. You don't really have a lot of time with them, just like how the brother and sister don't really have a lot of time with each other. I think I'm just reaching it with that one actually. Having faith in something can sometimes cost you everything. I feel like the next one, which is the pit, I feel like this was pretty nice. Now the pit basically stars a whole bunch of people that are in this specific pit, and they're basically mining out kyber crystals for this own city, as well as they're going to mine out to the point where they can't dig out anymore, and this is basically the place that they're going to live at, and they're forced to do this by none other than the Empire. Now they shouldn't be able to get out at all, but one person is actually able to get out and sort of go to the city to help talk to these people, to be like, help us, please save us, we're stuck in a pit. Again, this is another story that shows a whole lot of hopefulness, as well as the young inspiring the old, like where an old man is telling this youngster that he shouldn't leave this pit. It doesn't matter, everything else is irrelevant, we should just stay here and live for the rest of our lives here. But the old man actually gets proven wrong when he actually saves everyone, even when he dies. In death, that you can still technically speaking save somebody or show so much of a difference or importance that people actually follow your footsteps and continue to move forward. Sometimes, sadly to say, the tragic act of death has to be needed for these people to actually see the bright light at the end of the tunnel. And last but certainly not least is Awu's song. Awu's song is basically just really cute. I feel like it's extremely cute when it comes to Awu and in the world that Awu is sort of pictured. Seeing that the world basically stars in Awu as well as her father, and her father basically mines kyber crystals, and she's not basically allowed to go out anywhere close to kyber crystals just because of the reasoning of she explodes them when she sings to them. I really feel like this story actually just tells you to show faith in people that are around you, because sometimes they actually might surprise you and actually exceed your expectations. Like when Awu actually calms down all the kyber crystals that's in the mountain, and we have that stupid arrogant thing that people call confidence, it actually can make you go pretty far. Now I know I went through some of these stories extremely fast, especially when I came to the meaning and really just talk about the story itself, but you should honestly give it a try, give it a shot. Watch Star Wars Visions season 1 or season 2, it doesn't really matter because it's not really any at all connected, but give it a shot, give it a chance, watch it, have fun with it, and tell me what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.